Well, hello there. Today, we're going to talk about what you can and cannot bring onto a cruise ship. Pay attention when we get to the what you can bring. Some of them will surprise you, especially when you compare them to the what you can't bring. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. All right, so I'm going to go over the no list first. Okay, the no list is you can't bring illegal drugs on board. I don't know why they have to tell us this, but that includes if you have a medical marijuana card, you can't bring your medical marijuana onto the ship. If you get caught with illegal drugs on the ship, either at the next stop they're going to turn you over to the Coast Guard, or if there's no U.S. Coast Guard in that country that we go to, they're going to just turn you over to the local authorities. Depending on where we go, could be a good thing or a bad thing. All right, this is a great one too. I'm glad they told us this. No firearms, replica of firearms, spears, no spear guns, crossbows, blunt weapons, including knuckle dusters, brass knuckles, clubs, batons, sharp weapons, throwing stars, air guns, BB guns or rifles, stun devices, and tasers, or even paintball guns. What's this world coming to when we can't bring those onto a cruise ship? I don't get it. And the weapon list continues. No tear gas, OC spray, phosphorus, acid, or any other dangerous chemicals. Not allowed to bring them on board either. All right, and that list continues. You are not allowed to bring any ammunition on board. Well, and I get that because I had a friend of mine, real quick story, that he had a duffel bag that he used to take to the range. He was a police officer. And one little itty-bitty bullet got down in the corner up underneath like the cardboard bottom of his duffel bag. Couldn't see it. Even the humans couldn't find it the first couple of times, but the X-ray machine did find it. And that held them from boarding for 2 hours because until they found his luggage, which was somewhere between the porters and his room, until they searched that luggage, they were not getting on that ship. And he had all his credentials with him, like I said. And they weren't playing. They didn't treat him bad or anything. But they said, we can't let you on the ship until we find your luggage and search it. So let that be a note to you. To make sure you check your bags to make sure there's no knives or guns or anything in your bag before you accidentally do it. Because people do make those mistakes. They forget. They use those bags for different things. And it's going to hold you up. So, all right. So now on with the stuff that kind of makes sense. All the other stuff is common sense. No alcohol or beer allowed to be brought on board except for wine and champagne, and I'll explain that in the allowed list. No plastic bottles of water, soda, or any other substance allowed on board as in a non-alcoholic beverage. And again, I'll explain those in the allowed column. All right, and the list continues. Electrical appliances that have a heating element. In other words, such as irons, clothes steamers, heating blankets, water heaters, coffee makers, hot plates, toasters, a heating pad, or a humidifier. You can't bring those on board. Now, please don't be angry at me when I ask this question because I see this question asked a lot on social media. Can I bring my coffee maker? Why would you? On Carnival, you have Java Blue, which makes really good coffee. Royal Caribbean, you have Starbucks. There's coffee places on NCL. And I know you might not want to pay for it. It's comparable to Starbucks prices. But if you go up on the Lido deck, they have coffee 24/7. And there's coffee all over. Why would you want to lug a coffee pot? Just put it in the comments down below because I really don't know. But anyway, now I get it. Some people want to bring a heating pad because some people have ailments and they like to heat it up a little bit, but you can't have them. Sorry. And we're still rolling along. All right, you can't bring a knife. a knife. This is how they spell it. It should be pronounced knife, but it is a knife. But there is an exception to that. If you are a diver and you are going on a dive excursion, you can bring your dive knife, but you have to check it in with guest services or the chief security officer. Now, I don't know if they come down to the terminal and take it from you, because how else are you going to get it to guest services? Because you know if you let them get past security and get on the ship with it, you know where it's going. It's going in the cabin. But anyway, you can scissors. You can't have big scissors, but there is also an exception to that. If you are taking a scrapbooking class and all that, you get with securities before you get on there, and they will get with them. And because a lot of ships have, believe it or not, scrapbooking classes. So you got to have scissors to do a scrapbooking class. So there is options to get special permission to bring those on board. And again, you got to go through the chief security officer. Open razors. If you want an open razor, you're going to have to go to the spa and get shaved because they use them. Handcuffs. Leave your handcuffs at home, you freaks. No restraining devices. Self-balancing hoverboards. Satellite phones, transformers, lasers, and laser pointers are on that list as well. All right. Boom boxes or large radios. Candles or incense. Helium-filled balloons. Don't get that one. Inflatable kiddie pool. Hookahs. Shoes with wheels. Kava, which is a coffee maker, I believe, from Germany. Testing you. Surfboards, boats, or canoes. Not allowed to bring those on either. And fish of any kind. So if you go on a deep-sea fishing excursion and you catch a really nice fish that you want to stuff or something, you have to ship it home from that island. You cannot bring it back on the ship. All right, so finally we're done with the list of no's that you can't bring on the ship. So now we're going to start with what's allowed on the ship, and some of these things are going to actually surprise you, what you can bring on a ship. But I want to take this time to ask you to do me a big favor. Reach right down there and hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell if you want to know when we put up another video, and hit that like button if you like what we're doing. I did a lot of research for you, and that way we can get to 1,000 here before our May cruise. Okay, we're getting ready to go on the Mardi Gras here in 3 days, but I know we're not going to hit that 1,000 before then. But if you would, do me a favor and hit it, and let's continue on. All right, so you can bring aerosol cans with grooming products, but if you're flying in, make sure that they're under that size that you're allowed to bring on the plane. But you can also, if you're flying into, say, Port Canaveral and you're staying in a hotel and you want to walk over to the store and get that kind of stuff, then you can bring any size you want on board the ship. Just remember, if you're flying, it's limited. Hair dryers. You can bring hair dryers, but there is one in every room, in the top drawer usually, in the cabin, so you really don't need to lug a hair dryer. Flat irons and curling irons, they don't supply, but you are allowed to bring those on, even though, yeah, they get hot. So, but they allow those. Shavers, you can bring a fan, but it can be no longer than 12 inches in diameter. But again, if you get right on that ship, as soon as you find your cabin steward, go tell him you want a fan, and they will bring you one. Now, when we were on the Elation last month, the fan they brought us was one of those big box fans, and it was kind of a pain. It kept falling over. But in December, we had a nice 20-inch round with a big base on the bottom of it. We laid it right on the counter, and it was great. So I guess you're taking a chance. If you want to bring your own, it's you lugging it, not me. Power strips. Make sure you bring some extra power strips. Now, I'm sure we're getting ready to go on the Mardi Gras, that it's got the nice USB ports on both sides of the bed, up by the counter, and some outlets. Now, I bought one that was an adapter that had like probably 8 plugs in it, plus 4 USB ports. The problem was the plug-in part was upside down, so when you tried to plug it in, the counter was in the way and I couldn't use it. But always try to bring you one with a cord on it, one of the regular power strips with 6 or 8 of the plug-ins, but make sure you bring some USB ports if you charge a lot of phones and camera equipment with the USB. All right, we're almost there. Small radios or Bluetooth speakers, but you must use earbuds or earphones in public areas. So in other words, you can have it in your cabin, but if they get a complaint that you're playing it too loud, they will come to your cabin and confiscate your radio. If you carry on somehow you get past security with a large speaker, they will confiscate it from your room and give it back to you on debarkation day. All right, medical gas bottle must be in your carry-on. Oxygen cylinders must be kept in guest services. The ones you're not using or carrying around with you have to go to guest services so they can be stored in the proper place. Cpap machines must be in your carry-on, but you can bring them on. Small coolers, 12 by 12 by 12. No genius, but that's a square. But no alcoholic beverages can be brought on board in those coolers. But I guess it's okay to get it in your room and then fill it with their beer and stuff. They don't mind that. Pets or live animals must be certified dogs if you're going to bring a dog on board. I guess they frown about bringing dead animals on board. So all right, you can bring no, you can't bring flowers, but you can have flowers if you purchase them from Carnival. You can bring musical instruments, but there's a caveat to that. If you bring your trumpet or your drums and you bother your neighbors, yeah, you guessed it. They're going to come confiscate it. You can bring a ham radio. You can bring your Google glasses, but not on the gangways. You can bring naturally any digital camera, DVD player, all that, USB sticks. You can even bring your Nintendo or your Xbox or your Sony PlayStation. But the TVs have been disabled, so that port that you want to plug it into, like the HDMI, they claim those are all disabled, so you can't hook your game up to those. Okay, you can bring food on as long as it's pre-packaged, because they don't have anywhere to store your foods. In other words, if you're bringing something on that's going to spoil or something like that, they don't want it on board. And now be very careful, because in America, you cannot bring anything off the ship. Even though the food on the ship was purchased in America, for example, like fruits and vegetables and all that, you can't bring it off the ship when you get back to, say, Port Canaveral or Miami or wherever you sailed out of. You cannot bring it off the ship. No fruits or vegetables allowed off the ship. But if you stole a box of Cheerios when they used to have boxes, they didn't really care about those. But no prepared food, no fruits or vegetables, again, are allowed. Now, you can bring seashells off the ship or onto the ship as long as they are critter-free and they are clean and have no odor. All right, these are allowed but cannot be used on the ship. But you can bring them on the ship. All right, a drone. I'm bringing my drone this week here in 3 days, because this is the Celebration Cruise, and we're doing the ship meetup out there off of the coast of Costa Maya. And I believe I got special permission to actually fly it from the ship, and they get all rights to the video, but that's okay. It will still be pretty cool if it goes through like I'm hoping. You can bring snorkel gear. You can bring a Segway. Skateboards. You can bring skateboards, but you can't wear shoes with wheels. Whatever. Golf clubs, fishing rods, but you can't fish from the ship. Tennis rackets. You can bring a kite. Now, one time we saw people with a kite, and they did this quite often back in the older days, and I mean in like 10 years ago. And they would actually take their kite, go to the aft of the ship, get their kite up about, however high they got it, way up there, and then they would just tie it to the railing. And as long as the ship was moving, you'd come out there the next morning, the kite would still be there. I thought it was pretty cool, but I guess they put a stop to that as well. I don't know why. It's not like we're going to run into any power lines out there, are we? Anyway, so you can bring roller blades. Those are shoes with wheels, are they not? I don't know. Anyway, beats me. I'm no genius by any means. You can bring, believe it or not, a metal detector, a beach chair. You can bring an umbrella, because Lord knows the tip of the umbrella couldn't be used as a weapon. You can bring boogie boards, but not over 43 inches or 42 inches. Don't quote me on that yet. You can bring a folding bicycle as long as the wheels are no larger than 20 inches. You can bring flotation devices, but you can't really put them in the pools unless they are like the water wings for the children or like the little vest that they swim with, which they usually have out by the pool anyway, so you don't need to bring those either if you're going to do those. So that pretty much is the list of things that are allowed, but you can't use them on the ship. Now, going back to the drone usage, again, Carnival allows it on the ship, but you can't fly it from the ship. Royal Caribbean, I don't believe, allows it even on the ship. So what Carnival does, again, going back to that, is if you're going to fly it, say, at one of their private islands, you can do that there, but you cannot fly it in Cozumel. I know they restrict drones, but there are some islands that don't care. So, again, you can't bring it on Royal Caribbean as of the last time I checked their stuff, but Carnival, you can bring it. So just wanted to clarify that a little bit, and I believe NCL you cannot bring it on the ship as well because people used to fly them from the ship all the time. All right, and lastly, some of the allowed stuff that is probably some of the most popular. When Carnival switched over to Pepsi products, a lot of the Coke drinkers weren't really happy, so they started bringing their own sodas. Now, you can bring a 12-pack of 12-ounce cans per person in your cabin in the carton. Don't do like some people did because they got caught. They would open the side, take all the Cokes out, and put the two by the handle so you could see the two Coke cans, and they'd slide beer and the rest of it. So, your choice. You can try it. If you get away with it, cool for you. But you'll be embarrassed when you get caught because they will confiscate your beer. But you are allowed to bring that. You can bring the water that actually comes in the cans, and you can also bring in a carton. They make water in paper cartons. You can bring that on board. You are allowed one 750 milliliter bottle of wine or champagne, which has to be in your carry-on, right along with those sodas. It has to be in your carry-on. And you can have one bottle per person in your cabin as long as they're over 21. So if you're dragging the old 12-year-old kids to the cabin, they can't bring on a bottle of wine or champagne. They kind of frown upon that. All right, now we're on to the must-haves. The must-haves are, naturally, bring your passport. Now, a lot of people go, what do I do with my passport? Always put your passport in the safe. Don't take it off the boat with you. Ship. Don't take it off because if something happens and you can't get back to the ship in time and you miss it, they are going to go into your safe and they are going to get your passport and anything else they think you need if you couldn't make it back to the ship, and they're going to leave it with the local authorities there at the pier. You need identification, and you really want identification because if you're getting off the ship and you left your passport, you're going to need something that generally they ask for your sail and sign card or your anchor card and identification to get back. You need your vaccine card, the negative COVID test, and even though you're doing the Verifly app, I did it last month on the Elation, and they still wanted to see our documents. So maybe this month, and I'll let you know in about 3 days, whether they just now accept the Verifly app or I still got to bring my documents. Always bring them anyway. You need cash, your medicines. Now, when we come up with the medicines, and I've seen this question asked several times, can I put my prescriptions in one of the little weekly boxes, the pill boxes, or do I have to bring my medications in a prescription bottle? Some people say I have to. I've been cruising since 2004 regularly on Carnival, and they have never questioned me about my medications being in one of those pill boxes, ever. And I take a lot of heart medicines and different stuff, and not one time. Now, what I would do is if you are going to bring a controlled substance, so for example, I'm just running off some stuff, Xanax or oxycodone or painkillers or sleeping pills, something that is prescribed that is a controlled substance. Heart medicines and stuff like blood thinners and nothing do not fall under that schedule, but those others do. You can usually get that stuff on your app, Or what I would do is take it off the bottle and stick it on the bottom of your case. And that's probably the only ones you're going to need a prescription for. But again, I've never been questioned ever in 58 cruises. You're going to need a power strip. I talked about that earlier with your USB ports on it. Don't forget sunscreen. And then if you look on Amazon, you can buy these little hooks. They're magnetic hooks that stick to the walls. All the cabins are pretty much made of metal inside. So your walls are good places to hang things if you're going to hang up a bathing suit or something on the wall, or you want to put your decorations outside on your door or on the wall. Those magnets will stand there because they do not like you to put tape on them, unless it's the blue painter's tape. Bring a Yeti-type mug. If you're going to be out by the pool and it's hot, bring that mug and it'll keep your beer or your drink cooler rather than drinking out of a cup that sits on the side of the pool or in your chair for a while that's going to melt. Charging cords for your electronic devices. Make sure you bring all those. Bring your insurance papers. If you got travel insurance, now I go through Berkshire Hathaway, and I can either get it on the app that I do it, or I bring the papers. I bring the papers just in case. A big one, straws. Bring your own straws, because if you ask for a straw and you're a first-time cruiser, they're going to give you either a paper straw or they're going to give you a sugar straw. Now, the sugar straws taste good, but the paper and the sugar straws, they both suck. Get it? They're straws. They're horrible, actually, because when you leave them in your drink for too long, what does sugar do? It starts to break down, and so does paper. So you can bring your own straws. Just dispose of them in the trash. Don't throw them around on the deck or into the water or anything. Insect repellent. Bring your medical records. If you have a heart condition or some kind of condition, you're a very bad diabetic or whatever, bring your medical records. For example, we try to bring one of my EKGs because my EKGs are irregular. So if something happened on the ship, I would show that to the doctor. He would probably do an EKG. They would match, and he'd say, "You're good to go. Go back to the pool." Just kidding. Bring water shoes and comfortable shoes. You need water shoes. For example, like we just got off the Elation. We went to Princess Cay. It's a nice beach, but it's very, very rocky, and you'll stub your toes. And you also don't know what you're walking in when you go to some of these islands and stuff. So bring water shoes or comfortable sandals, something that you can get wet. And that's pretty much it. I know it was a little lengthy for items, but that pretty much covered the entire list. So again, do me a favor, reach down there and hit that subscribe button and that notification bell, and you'll know when I put up another video, because we're getting ready to probably make quite a few videos here on the Mardi Gras in 3 days. Can't wait. We've had to rebook this one 4 times. I know you've heard that before, but getting really excited. We're going to do our COVID test tomorrow night. Hopefully we all get through that. And we're heading out Saturday morning for the cruise that we've been waiting about 2 years for. Well, thank you for watching. And I'm Patrick with Party of Two Cruising. Have a great night.